go. We're live with our Christmas picks. Merry Christmas to all. Tony, what were you doing with the plates there? Kind of like saying, not here, kind of here.
It was right next to me, so I wanted to, I don't know, do something, anything. That's what I chose to do.
Well, welcome in everyone that's tuned in live, everyone watching the replay for our week 16 pick'ems. And if you're wondering why I'm sad, just look at the score. Actually, I'm not even talking about the score. Tony, you go ahead and tell them, or Joe, brag, whatever.
I'm in the lead, guys. I'm in the lead, and I'm winning good, and I like it. And last week I just said, you know what? Screw it. I'll take some risk, and I still won.
Yeah, last week could have been way different for Joe had he not been trying to be a troll like he is. But I'm grateful that he did because I was able to stay within striking distance because I'm still going to win. I started off strong, and I'm going to end hot, and I'm off to a rough start. But Christmas Eve, I'm going to bounce back.
Hello, Aaron Andrade.
I mean, who cares about this challenge anyways, really, right? Like, well, what's the point? Why do we even get on here every single day and talk football and make these predictions when Joe's just going to cheat his way to the end anyway? It doesn't matter.
It's true.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's all right.
Your pick'ems haven't been doing as great lately, Mike.
I went on a hot streak, like a 6-week hot streak, and I thought that it got into a point where it's no longer a hot streak, and it was just a normal. And I think that complacency is what got me.
Tony made fun of me at the beginning of the season because I was staying I was right at 500 every week for like the first 4 weeks, and then bam, to the moon when you guys told me stop picking Detroit Lions, stop picking the Raiders, and I kept picking them, and I was like all the way up.
Yeah, you think how far you'd be if you didn't pick shitty teams every week.
Exactly. Like if you would have started from the beginning as hot as you are now, you'd probably be winning against the entire challenge, not even just us three. This is a challenge. If anyone wants to join it, please join it. The link in my bio on any of my platforms. It's NFL Mike on Instagram, NFL Mike on TikTok. Let's get to the first.
Aaron Andrade says go Raiders if you guys don't see
How come we never get any Texans fans in here? Why are there always Raiders fans?
Why do they always talk about how the Chargers don't have fans and then the Texans don't have any fans? Why don't we talk about the Texans? Texans fans.
Everything's better in Texas.
Holy shit.
Tony, I can't believe you went with the Jets.
Tony, tell us why you thought the Jets were going to win.
So, I talked about this before, and certain teams that I don't trust yet, right? You need to win with expectation. Because earlier this year, the Jets they earned a little bit of expectation, right? They started 2-1. They went out and they didn't just beat the Chargers. They whopped the Chargers big time. And all of a sudden they had to play with expectation. Then what happened? They went on like a 4 or 5 game losing streak and everybody was like, they're done. So now it's like you're back in it. You got to win Thursday night. You got to play on the road in the rain against a really good top 5 defense. I did not think that Zach Wilson could sink any further, and he has done that magically. And I just want to have like a quick little look back in history with Uncle Tony, we got to come up with a name for the segment. If you go back like 25, 26 years ago to when Bill Parcells was the coach, like he came in, took over for a team that was like 1-15, and the next year they went 9-7. And what did they do? They had a defensive head coach who brought in 87-year-old Vinny Testaverde, and they were able to win games. The next year, they were like 12-4. He trades for Curtis Martin from the New England Patriots. Like, everything the Jets are doing is a good competitive football team, except for the quarterback position. And if you go back and look at the Jets and the most successful times that they had, it's really been the separation between just having a functioning QB and not. Like, here's how you know the Jets quarterback sucks. Talk to a Patriots fan, and they're like, oh, yeah, we love Zach Wilson. He should play. Because they built a dynasty on having the trashiest quarterbacks in a division for 2 straight decades. Go back and name all of the E.J. Manuels and Fitzpatricks and, like every Jets quarterback since Chad Pennington. That's what happened. And that's how you do it. They want Zach Wilson there because Zach Wilson might be fine somewhere else. He's not going to be fine with the Jets and in New York. He could definitely catch on. Send him to go be the backup, let him sit on the bench, get him a smart offensive coordinator. He might be able to play. But I was a little hot about how bad the Jets played in this game.
I almost went with the Jets last night, Tony, and there was a little bit of me going, I'll take the Jets. But then I was like, no, I'm not stupid. I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars, the better team. Sorry if I called you stupid, Tony, but
you're not sorry.
I'm not. No, I'm not. But yeah, Zach Wilson, he's already shown what he can do. He's going to be playing in the XFL next year, which is going to be great for him. Probably a lot of single moms over there ready to watch him. But Jacksonville's hot right now, and they're hot, and they're going for a division. And Doug Peterson has them focused in, Tony, and that's a good thing. That's the difference between when you have good coaching. Doug Peterson is a good coach, and last year they tried that Urban Meyer route, and it was horrible. And now you see the difference in them. Jacksonville, I don't know if they're going to continue this trend, and they have a good chance at winning their division. And coming out, we all knew the Jets were going to fall at one point, Tony, this year, and this was the time. This is the time that they start to fall. It was good, but next year they have building blocks to go off of, and they can do it. But I want to know this week. Add another win.
Well, me and Tony are now officially tied for last place. Yay! Yeah, man. I feel similar about the Jets. Once they lost Breece Hall, I knew this offense was going to tank because then it does lean on the quarterback. If you don't, Breece Hall wasn't just running like Michael Carter or like Zonovan Knight is now or anything like that. Breece Hall was playing at the level of Saquon or any of these superhuman running backs that can carry an offense. So when they lost Breece Hall, I already knew that they were going down, and that defense would have needed to be historic great. And we've seen what they're doing in Denver right now and how they couldn't get over it. I knew the Jets were going to fall apart. The Jets need to stop wasting their picks. They need to stop going after quarterbacks in the draft. The Jets just got to go and get a veteran to come over and play for them for a couple years. Maybe they can develop somebody. Maybe they can make something happen while that's going on. But the time of drafting Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, these guys, it's done. We got to stop this. Justin Fields should have went number 2 overall in that draft for sure, 100%.
So are we saying the Jets are one quarterback away and they already have a good defense and they're one quarterback away?
I'll say they're one quarterback away from being a playoff team, and that would be a huge step for them. Jimmy Garoppolo makes us a playoff team.
I know the trade. Bring in Russell Wilson.
How about Baker Mayfield?
Bring in Russell Wilson.
Your Russell Wilson hate has gone way too far. Like, that's a combination of just a lot of bad things. But me and Mike aren't saying you need to bring in somebody to build the offense around. We're saying you just need to bring in somebody like a Derek Carr level who will be able to make a couple of throws a game and run the offense effectively.
Well, you guys know that I have my Raider stuff, and on my Raider TikTok, so many Jet fans, whenever I post anything about Derek Carr, so many Jet fans are like, we'll take him, Derek Carr to New York, and they want Derek Carr in New York.
And I think that they rally around Mike White isn't even necessarily because he's this great, phenomenal quarterback. I mean, personally, my feelings is he's a decent backup. It's because of his leadership. It's because he gives them a chance at least. And that's all they need, and they're going to rally around whoever it might be. And they keep playing around trying to develop rookies. It's just not happening. Now you got a defensive head coach as well. It's not Adam Gase anymore. Just do it. Just go pick someone up. They were in the trade market for Tyreek Hill in last offseason, so be aggressive again this offseason. Let's see what you can do. Bring someone in.
They really have hit on a lot of their picks outside of the health of Mekhi Becton, right? I think the offensive line will come into the year looking very strong again. They had a lot of injuries, and I think that's part of the issue. But the reason they like Mike White so much is because he makes the easy look easy. Yeah. They set up easy throws in the offense, and Zach is still missing those throws. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, dude, you can't have such poor footwork. Like, I wouldn't tell my child at the park it's okay to throw the football sometime the way that he's throwing the football. Like, where do you expect it to go?
They should have went to Flacco this last stretch of games. They should have. They should have seen what happened. You got someone that can run the offense at least, even if he doesn't have the arm talent he used to have. This guy used to bomb balls down the field. But
credit to the NFL schedule makers that they thought Jacksonville Jaguars versus New York Jets would be a playoff matchup in week 16 of the NFL season on Thursday night. They were like, book it down, Dano.
They were thinking 2 pass here. This is either a battle for the first overall pick again, or we're
I
both
like
these
that.
teams turned it around.
That's probably right, Mike.
On to the next one. Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Seattle Seahawks. My personal opinion on the Seahawks heading into this game is that this is where the injuries and stuff are going to rear their ugly head, and they're probably going to get smoked. But Tony, what's your thoughts here?
I keep saying the Chiefs are gonna run away and win all these games super easy. It's been like a couple weeks in a row where we've seen them, maybe 3 out of the last 4, struggle with teams that I think are not on their level at all. And it has me questioning the Chiefs a little bit. Not enough to lose this football game, but wondering if they're as just sort of gonna cruise through the first couple rounds of the playoffs. Like, I think there's a little bit of vulnerability when I watch them play, and I think good teams might be able to take advantage of that. I'm also a Chiefs hater, so, like, take that for what it's worth. They still have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They're going to be fine. On the Seahawks side of things, doesn't matter how the season finishes, Pete Carroll still won the war. Like, he won the battle, I should say. We don't know how the war is going to settle out or whatever, but you look at the Seahawks team, there's a lot of young talent on this team. And would either of you guys be shocked if the Seahawks were competing with the 49ers next year for this division?
No.
Because they have the pieces that are right there, whether it's Geno or not. The defense is going to come back and be that much stronger. You know, maybe Bobby Wagner wakes up and they reconcile and he comes back and has, one of those type of seasons. This game shouldn't be close. I'm almost guaranteeing a massive win for the Chiefs because I'm playing the Chiefs versus the Jaguars in the fantasy playoffs in Mike's fantasy league, so they're going to put up 165.
How the hell did you make the playoffs with the Jaguars?
Because I am a genius. That's why.
First, I want to say what's up to Jay Argueta or Albert Mariquan, the 302 Birds. Harrison, I'm not saying hello to you. I am not saying hello to you, Harrison.
We'll get to that.
I got your back, Harrison.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that later, Harrison, but I do not like you right now.
Me neither.
Anyways, Tony, you hit the nail with the hammer and all that stuff, whatever they say. But the Kansas City Chiefs, everybody expects them to be this great team. But like you said, they struggled with the Rams. They struggled with the Texans. And now they're going to play Seattle. And it's like they play up and down to their opponent's level. Not saying that they're not a good team, and these are games that they're supposed to win, and they're supposed to win easily, but they're just like, I don't know if they're walking through it or just really. You put that on the screen when I'm talking? You want to put bolt up shit when I'm talking? Yeah, and I don't. Seattle's defense is no good. Watch Isaiah Pacheco have a great game this week when Jared McKinnon kicked my ass in fantasy football last week.
Jared McKinnon balled out last week. But yeah, the Chiefs should win this game. I agree. And for Seattle, what's really kept this team afloat, and I was talking to Jay Fly about it, Geno Smith has improved, and he deserves a ton of credit. This guy made the Pro Bowl this year. But really what it was, they just had a phenomenal draft class, like maybe the best draft class in the league. And they're going to build around that draft class for years to come. I'm excited to see where they go. They got to get another quarterback in there, I think, in the near future. But they can definitely ride with Geno until they find their guy or they find an avenue that is a sure thing in Pete Carroll's eyes. And ride, just building a defense again. Chenna Nwosu went crazy. Tariq Woolen, these guys are good. So we'll see where the Seahawks go from here on.
They got from Cincinnati, the Bryant kid.
Kobe Bryant, crazy good. Yeah. And we'll see where the Seahawks go from here. They're starting to go towards what led to them becoming a Super Bowl team 10 years ago. And if that happens, that just proves that Russell Wilson was holding them back like the last 3 or 4 years. Houston Texans on the road in Tennessee. We're not giving Houston much of a chance here. Clearly, we're all picking the Texans. The Titans are on a 5-game losing streak right now. 4 or 5 game losing streak going into this game. But I just assume that every time Derrick Henry plays the Texans, he's going to run for 200 yards and just win by himself. Tony, what's your thoughts? Texans hung on with the Chiefs.
I think Malik Willis has an opportunity for them to really start to look away from Ryan Tannehill. I mentioned that privately to you that he didn't – like they were so desperate to win that game against the Chargers last week that if Malik Willis would have just come in and had somewhat led a field goal drive, I don't think they bring Ryan Tannehill back in the game. But he right away, Vrabel knew if this guy can play, he's going to play. I want to talk about the Texans, though. There's a lot of energy around, oh, well, Lovie Smith is going to be one and done. He's got a 13-1 football team, and they're competing in these games. And even in the game where they were getting beat 30-0 at halftime, Jerry Hughes started throwing Gatorade coolers and got the team rallied. They're still competing and playing really good football. And you just can't tell me that an organization can just scrap whatever's trying to be built every 12 months and that at some point you're going to be competitive. Lovie Smith might not be the guy that's going to get them to the Super Bowl, but he's a guy that can establish some stability inside of your organization. And if they fire him, it is a gigantic mistake. Like, just leave it alone. I think, don't they have Pep Hamilton there as like the offensive coordinator who's working there? Get him another young quarterback that he can work with, or a veteran that he can work with, and he will establish somewhat of a decent offense. The defense will play better. The Texans will win 5 games next year, and they'll start heading in the right direction. Firing Lovie Smith and just getting another first-round pick where you're like, well, the internet says we should pick Breece Hall, but the internet also says we should pick Will Anderson. Stop it, Texans. You guys are garbage. Like, just have a little bit of semblance of an organization and don't fire Lovie Smith.
Yeah, and the Texans, I can't even name players on the Texans, Tony. Some of these guys, they have good players and then they get hurt, and then it's like, who the hell is this guy on the field? And they're what?
Desmond King's my favorite.
Desmond King sucks. Desmond King almost screwed up last week when he tried to get Travis Kelce fired up. Like, what the hell are you doing? But anyways, the Texans have been playing good football. They're just underrated players going out there that nobody else gives a chance to, and they're like, hey, we suck. We'll put you on the field, see what you can do. And like you said, Tony, Lovie Smith has proven that he's better than what we expected out of him. And I don't think he does get fired. I think he does stick around for another year. But in this game alone, Malik Willis should be starting, which kind of got me questioning it a bit. But Derrick Henry, I just don't go against Derrick Henry against a 13 team.
Yeah, and the Titans are a team that's well coached, and in a must-win situation, they're going to come out and play. We saw it against the Chargers last week. They didn't lay down by any means. Played to the very end of that game, and it took a Justin Herbert effort to put them down. As far as the Texans go, is everyone in the chat? Let us know your idea on this. Is everyone for Caleb Williams to the Texans? Be Lovie Smith, Caleb Williams, Pep Hamilton. If they can hold on to Brandon Cooks, they can, but that's not necessarily a requirement. But you'll have Nico Collins, Chris Moore. It's not going to be a great team. They're not going to win a bunch of games.
They're going to have John Mechie next year, too. That's what I'm saying. If you bring in a decent, like a veteran, even if they were to bring over a professional like Geno Smith, that's fine. 1-2 years, that's all you're looking for. A 2-year contract. Jameis Winston, like, he's not consistent enough to get you to the playoffs, but he's going to have 5 or 6 games where he's just cooking, and you're going to win, and you're going to be competitive, and you're going to feel like a real organization.
And you might be able to convince some people to come.
Call it now. Tom Brady to the Texans.
Oh, here we go. They were saying Tom Brady to the Jets because if Tom Brady goes and wins the Super Bowl with the Jets, that would be like a huge notch. He ended that drought for them.
You can quit football if that happens. Never play football again.
Like, now I'm seeing this. Right?
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
Whoa. Let's ease into this. And everyone in the chat, let us know for all these games who you guys want to win or who you guys think is going to win. Score predictions, stat predictions. Give us some reasoning. If you change our mind, we ain't afraid to change our pick right here on the air. I'll tell you that right now. We've done that many times. Panthers will never get chosen by me again for the rest of the season. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care if they destroy the Lions this week. By the way, Joe, this isn't a faith in Detroit. Detroit almost dropped that game to New York, and I was going to come on this thing upside down, yelling into the camera. I'm telling you, but I'm not taking the Panthers the rest of the year. I can't. I can't do it.
So here's the thing with the Panthers. They were playing like there's something about like you can know that it's true, but don't say it, right? Like Steve Wilkes goes to the mic and says, this organization tried to tank They tried to leave us with all this shit. It's like, hey, everybody knows it, Steve. Don't say it because you're talking about the 53 guys you have to take the field with. And now not only did the ownership say we don't believe in you, now the coach is saying that people here didn't believe in you, and I need you guys to fight. The Panthers were on the verge of doing something really cool. And then last week, it was like all of a sudden a team that was running against everybody. It didn't matter who was getting in their way. All of a sudden, they were getting zero push on the offensive line. A team that had been like bouldering over everybody. They can't get anything going. I just don't like that. Like, Steve, I get it. You're going to get screwed out of 2 jobs now that you probably earned. Like, you did a really good job with this team, and you know that you're not going to get a fair look at the job. You got screwed in Arizona. I get it. You can't be out there talking about how the ownership wanted to tank and you were left with trash because that's what you have to play the game with on Sunday. With that being said, I'll let Joe brag about the Lions. I already covered the Panthers. About the Lions.
First, Harrison, I know you're in the chat. Harrison, we all went with the Panthers last week to make you happy, to make you feel good, and you had us believing in the Panthers. And I hope I don't get censored right now for the stuff I'm going to say to you, Harrison. But
beep, 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 beep.
I made a video. I even made a video.
Yeah, Harrison. And that's all I got to say about that, okay? Anyway, Detroit Lions. Greatest team on earth. Greatest show on earth. Lions on their way to the playoffs. Started 1-7, now 7-7. They're half a game back because of a tie of the wild card spot. Going to go in they fixed their run defense. They've been shutting down every running back for the last 4 to 5 weeks. And you think they're scared of Deontay Foreman or some guy named Chuba Hubbard? Hell nah. Hell nah, they ain't afraid of these guys. Sam Darnold going to get lit up like at the 4th of July. Detroit Lions going for the number 8 victory on their road to 10 victories, Tony, like I told you at the beginning of the season.
Wow.
Harrison's blaming me for the Panthers' loss. How can you blame me? All I did was have faith in the Panthers. And by the way, yes, I did have Foreman in my lineups, Harrison. If you're wondering.
I did
you
too.
want to know. First round of the playoffs, had some injuries. Oh, this guy's been getting a lot of carries. This guy's been getting a lot of yards. This guy's been getting in the end zone.
That's the Detroit Lions, Mike. You said you would never pick the Lions again, and now you're on. Now you're trying to come on over.
Here's my predictions. Here's my predictions for the Lions, actually, and I've become like a playoff calculator now, basically, with all these playoff calculator videos that I've made. The game between the Lions and the Packers, if the Packers can win out, is setting up to be for the 7th seed, and the Lions are going to lose that game to Aaron Rodgers with all the pressure on them, and it's going to be hilarious. I'm going to come on here, and it's going to be a good time, Joe. I can't wait.
Roberto, we'll get to the Washington pick in a minute. Harrison's saying, Tony, what's your record when you pick Carolina?
It's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, Harrison. I just can't do it. What I saw from the Panthers last week, I don't imagine it gets better this week. Like this close to the holidays, it's not setting up good. All the momentum is with the Lions on this one. And that's the big game cat that I chose is a Lion over a Panther.
And I'm pretty sure that my record choosing the Panthers this year is now 0-1. So I learned from my mistakes, Harrison. I'll tell you that right now. Harrison's the only one taking the Panthers, so you guys don't have to tell me who you're taking in the chat. On to Buffalo on the road in Chicago. We're all rocking with Buffalo. The Chicago Bears, to me, the roster is just not ready to really compete on a week-to-week basis in the NFL, but they took a step forward this year as far as like you have a direction now. Let's follow that direction. Let's build the appropriate team. I think they should take some notes on what Baltimore did around Lamar Jackson and even maybe a little bit of what Buffalo's doing with Josh Allen. But Tony Tucker, what's your thoughts on this game? We're going to see some exciting runs from the quarterbacks, but the Bills should win it, right?
Yeah, they should win pretty easy. The Bears get back Khalil Herbert, which I think is an interesting little wrinkle, where if they do try to run the football quite a bit, that helps them out. I'm sure that the weather is miserable as it is everywhere in the Midwest and East Coast right now. To me, this is more about the Bills and a really ugly trend that they've started in the past couple of years. Since they became the Bills, the team of the AFC East, with the, vacating of Tom Brady, they seem to play weirdly down against teams like this, where the game is close and then all of a sudden they need to be saved in the fourth quarter. I'm hoping that's not the case. I hope this is a kind of game where the Bills arrive and they're like, oh shit, this is the Bills. Because the following week, I think the MVP narrative could be on the line. Bills, Bengals, one of those quarterbacks is going to have a win over each other leaving that game, and they also both beat Patrick Mahomes this year. So if they both can have big games this weekend, and then the winner of that game, I think, with 2 weeks, a week to play or whatever in the NFL, can take the lead in the MVP conversation. Not that really means anything, but I just think the Bills, just put it on them. Like, come out and have one of those 27-point first half performances that you should have against a team like this.
I think it's the opposite, Tony. I think the Bears come out and prove that they can hang with the team and lose it in the second half. I think this Bears defense is a little underrated, even though they got rid of Roquan Smith and they got rid of Robert Quinn. I still think they're playing some good defense. And then the depth shows later on in the games that they don't have it. Their offensive line is horrible, but Justin Fields is good for a good run or two every damn game. And Buffalo, I think Buffalo's offense with Ken Dorsey is getting a little bit too predictable, and that's why some of these wide receivers aren't having as good games. What Diggs have last week? He wasn't on fire last week.
I need him to have another down week, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. They brought back Cole Beasley, so that's a good thing, right?
Cole Beasley.
I don't know. Is he making a rap album? What's happening?
I'm just saying, I don't think – we are impressed with the Bears. We're not impressed with their record, but we're impressed with the Bears of how they've been playing. And I just think it's another week where they hung with the Dallas Cowboys. They were right there. I think the same thing with the Bills. They hang on and lose it at the end.
Yeah, it's another one of those teams, where you're seeing the investment of draft picks and just continuously throwing them. They're eventually going to land a few, and it's just heading in the right direction. And teams that threw them all their draft picks away, like the Rams, are now going to start going to the bottom of the league. And I think we're going to see a shift here in the next couple of years. And quarterbacks just seem to change everything for a team. And Justin Fields proved this year he's your quarterback. You got to build around this guy. You got to get this guy an O-line. You got to get this guy some weapons.
I love Justin Fields. I don't know if you guys know this, but I love Justin Fields.
I noticed. Washington Commanders on the road in San Francisco. We got Brock Purdy versus Taylor Heineke. What a year it's been. Tony, your breakdown for this one, and you guys let us know in the chat who you got, San Fran or Washington. I believe Chase Young, first game back in this game. So that'll be interesting to see Chase Young and Nick Bosa on the field.
This can be a low-scoring game. But this also might be just because Ron Rivera is losing his mind, not sure what he's doing. Well, Heineke's our starter, but we're not 100% committed. We're going to see what it feels weird listening to him. He's just trying to almost survive the chaos that's going on with the Commanders. If Heineke wins this game and keeps them in the playoff hunt, there should be no more conversations about whether or not he's the quarterback for the rest of the year. Because I have zero faith that if Carson Wentz were the starter of this game or were to come in, that he would have anything less than 3 or 4 turnovers in this game. What they would do to him, holding on to that football, making crazy throws. This defense would eat him alive. Now, that being said, I think Taylor Heineke is going to get beat up pretty bad. And a lot of those almost interceptions that we've been seeing from him are going to be actual interceptions in this game. Because I don't think they're going to run the ball all that effective. And then you got to hope that you can beat the pass rush. So this feels just like a massacre. Good for the 49ers. The Brock Purdy legend grows even greater this week.
Well, see, this is the game that I want to see Purdy in. I want to see him going against this pass rush, this defensive line of the Washington. Other than that, Washington has nothing else, right? I'm not afraid of the San Francisco defense against this Washington offense. I wouldn't expect. I would expect San Francisco's defense to at least score 2 touchdowns, 2 defensive touchdowns. Like if you have San Francisco's defense in fantasy football, get them in there because they're going to be scoring left and right. But I want to see Washington's defense against San Francisco's offense, and I want to see that front line. And I think Brock is going to be under a little bit more pressure than he's been in a couple of these games, and just to see what happens there. I'm not saying I'm not hating on the Niners and going Niners going to lose. I'm not. Hell no. I think the Niners are going to win big in this one, but I think it's going to be all defensive scores with the offense struggling just a little bit.
And then next week, Niners Raiders setting up for you guys to end Brock Purdy's run, right, Joe?
Oh, he ain't ready for Max Crosby.
Gonna get choke slammed by Max
So
Crosby.
this is what you're hoping to see is exactly why Kyle Shanahan is a better coach than you're used to. He's not going to put Brock in a situation to deal with the pass rush of Washington.
7 people. Oh, and just to let you guys know, today was the final day of putting the bids in for Washington Commanders. 4 bids of over $7 billion for Washington, for the Washington football team.
So hopefully, whoever does win it comes in and runs a classy organization. Be the first
I
time.
put it in as a joke. I didn't think they would take my offer, but I put it in there.
Step 1, Joe. Move the team.
So now I got to come up with $7 billion.
Washington is moving to Oakland.
Yeah. And they're calling them the Oakland Pirates.
Yeah.
On to the next one here. Falcons. This one's a little bit more interesting to me. Falcons, Desmond Ridder, not as great in his debut as we thought last week. And someone here got it right. Going against the Ravens, who are struggling as well now that they've lost Lamar Jackson. Let us know what you guys think of this game in the chat, because I think this could be a little bit of a sneaky trap game. I'm putting some faith in John Harbaugh here, taking the Ravens to just figure it out and beat a team that's worse than them. And I'm putting some faith in the Baltimore defense as well. Tony, your thoughts on this one?
I feel I was discouraged because I went back and I watched Desmond Ridder play. And I think one of the things that I really liked about him was that he seemed so smart and so calm and so relaxed, like in college and even in the preseason. And then I didn't see that at all against the Saints defense last week. There was like some panic and some crazy throws and inaccurate stuff. And I get it. It's your first NFL start. I think it was on the road. I think it was in New Orleans, but it was still, controlled weather. He did not play very well. And I'm not saying that I'm out on him. I still think that he should get a chance to, prove he can be a long-term starter for the Falcons. But with the playoffs on the line, needing a win, I'm taking John Harbaugh. I'm taking that defense. And they're just focusing on the run, and they're saying this rookie is not going to beat us one-on-one. If he does, then, we have bigger issues.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to make a playoff race anyways. I just realized I actually want the Ravens to lose this game. But Joe, what's your thoughts?
I think the Ravens are just too good of a team. The Falcons don't have enough. They started doing good at the beginning of the season, and then just there's no depth there. There's no talent there. It's just a rebuilding, whatever you want to call whatever they're doing down there. Is they just showed that they need more and more talent down there. And as the season goes on, they just got worse. And Baltimore's going to run through them. I read something today about Baltimore. They said, imagine the draft capital that they can get for Lamar Jackson, right? They trade him in the offseason, and then they draft Anthony Richardson and bring him in and run that same offense with the rookie pay scale. What do you guys think?
They might actually start like a cycle if they do that, where it's like teams might start doing this where go ahead, go get your payday quarterback. We're just going to bring in a guy super similar to you to run the same offense that you made.
Everybody laughed at Bucky Brooks a couple years ago when he said teams should do this. They should treat it just like a college. Every 4 or 5 years, you draft another quarterback and you get rid of that top high-paid quarterback. You bring another guy in.
There should be an if you're not succeeding. If you're succeeding with, let's say, for example, Justin Herbert or Derek Carr or anybody, then you keep going. But I understand that logic if your team just is in a repetitive cycle. The Ravens keep being a contender at the beginning of the year and get so injured by the end of the year that they have no chance anymore. And it's happened like 3 years in a row now.
So I think the Bucky Brooks theory is based more on if you're going to draft a running quarterback and you're going to play a running quarterback system, then treat them like you would a running back. And so like every couple of years you draft a new, so you draft one guy, you like him. Now you know you have him. Keep trying to bring in who will be next, like every couple of years, who will be the next fill-in for that. So you can run a similar system to that person and it's there, and you don't have to give them long-term money. Because we've seen these guys, they get halfway through the big money deal and they're breaking down. We're already seeing Lamar Jackson who hasn't even made it. If I was Lamar Jackson personally, I'm not sure I would come back and play the rest of this year. I would just be like, it's not working. Because if he goes in, if he loses a lot of negotiation, if like a lot of bargaining wiggle room, if he ends up suffering a massive injury at the end of this year, and this team isn't, I don't think any of us think that they're winning a Super Bowl, right? So if he looks around and he thinks that, he might just say like, hey, the knee is not right. I'm shutting it down for the rest of the year.
Oh, Santa Claus told Mike that a team in purple is going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's a perfect transition, by the way. Let us know your guys' thoughts on the Ravens QB situation in the chat.
The purple jerseys.
On to the purple team that I think Joe is referring to. Giants coming off of a big win against the Commanders, and that was a big win for them. I didn't think they were going to win that game. Are heading to Minnesota, who were down 40 or down 33 and came back somehow and won in the second half. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to be down 30 and come back. I guess it shows that you can face some adversity, maybe the most adversity an NFL team's ever faced in a half of football and still win. But, Tony, we're all in the Vikings here. I'm a little bit worried about the Giants defense showing up because they just have these random games where they just shut people down still.
I don't know what to make of the Vikings. And, I mean, really what I hope that they just snatch the soul from Jeff Saturday and the Colts so that the Chargers just beat them 40-0 on Monday Night Football. But, like, the Vikings, I just don't buy the Vikings. I'm not going to buy them. I'm going to pick against them most likely in the first round of the playoffs. Like, I don't know. I'm not that into it. I do think, on the other hand, that Brian Daboll and this team, I was very close to picking the Giants this week. And the only reason I didn't is because I knew that you guys were going to pick the Vikings and I didn't want to lose one. But if here's what I said. I said, if I come to the show and one of you guys pick the Giants, then I'll feel okay going with the Giants. I'll switch over to the Giants. That's what I said mentally in my head. But
Joe, this man is scheming over there. We're just picking the guys we think are going to win. And
I don't have the bullshit to win. Look at my record, and I don't have the bullshit, Tony.
There's a little bit of strategy worked in, but I can't, because here's the thing. If the Giants win this game, right, are any of us going to go like, well, we didn't see that coming? They're literally like giving up more points than they're scoring, and they're 11-3 or 12-2 or whatever their crazy good record is. But I just don't think that is like really good winning football. It's the same kind of thing. I didn't bring this up with the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are like minus in the turnover differential. That will come back to haunt you against good teams come playoff time. Like, you just can't play certain ways. And the Vikings play in a way where I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel good about picking them, but I picked them. Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year last week with that win.
Well, I'll say this. I know you're going to go on the rant, Joe. Let me just get this in, because I feel similar about the Vikings in their playoff run. I want the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl if I have to pick a team.
I'd be happy for them
out of the NFC, because I think that they're exciting. They have a lot of good players, and a lot of players that are not just great players. They seem like they're great humans, great NFL representatives. But I think that the biggest thing for them, and this is what I've been thinking about over the last couple of weeks, is the first half of the year, they brought in Za'Darius Smith, and he was playing at like a defensive player of the year level for the first half of the year. And their defense was good, and they were dominating everyone. They were 8-1, 9-1, whatever it might be. But once Za'Darius Smith's play went down a little bit and he started to deal with getting a little bit banged up, things went away. They need to go, and I know Danielle Hunter is phenomenal, can't stay healthy, and they need to get a pass rusher now. And I think that will help them a ton next season if they want to actually be Super Bowl contenders. But Joe, go ahead.
Look, let me tell you guys something. Last week's victory for the Minnesota Vikings was exactly what they needed. To be down 33 points and to come back and win in that second half. I was about to write the Minnesota Vikings off, Tony. I was about to say they're fakers, they're pretenders, they're whatever the hell you want to call them. They're frauds. And I said, no, Tony, I'm going to believe in them. And that right there is what you've seen it every year. There's something that happens in a one-team season that sparks them. And this just showed the Minnesota Vikings that no matter what, this is primetime Kurt that came back from 33-0. Primetime Kurt, who doesn't do shit in primetime. He came back, Tony, and they showed that they can overcome adversity and that this is going to make them beat any team that's in their way. New York Giants are without a Dory Jackson. So that means if you're still alive in your fantasy football playoffs and you have Justin Jefferson, he's going for 200 yards this week. 200 yards, 3 touchdowns for Justin Jefferson. It's going to be amazing. New York Football Giants, it was great while it lasted, but the honeymoon's over.
Joe, would you consider maybe shutting down one of the NFL's best offenses in a random week where no one expected you to be a spark that could catapult your team to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins, Chargers a couple weeks ago. Just saying. Just saying.
Have you seen a difference in the Chargers team?
100%. 100%.
There's something that sparks in a team that makes you wake the fuck up.
Why? Why? They're frauds.
Because we talked so much shit about the Panthers earlier. Harrison's mad at all of us, but he better not talk about my Raiders.
The Chargers are about the furthest you can be from frauds. They literally lost half their team.
Hey, I would love to sit there and watch the Vikings versus the Chargers in the Super Bowl. That would be a great matchup. It'd be a different, unique matchup, and I'm rooting for that.
And we would take a team off the list of never winning a Super Bowl for sure at that point. There'd be no question.
Joe, I can tell you safely, I'm never going to root for the Raiders to be in the Super Bowl. So it's very kind of say that.
This is the first time this deep in the season that 28 teams are still alive for the playoffs.
Wow. It's only
You guys
4
didn't know
eliminated teams. That's crazy.
There's only really 3 teams that are eliminated: the Broncos, the Texans,
Rams.
and the Bears.
The Rams are too, I think.
Oh, and the Rams. So 4.
Yeah.
So 4 teams.
Crazy. All right, let's move on to the next team that is streaking to the Super Bowl right now. The Las Vegas Raiders are taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Losers completely eliminated. Winner still has a miracle chance to go. Tony, you're taking the Steelers, and I am in this situation again where I have a feeling the Raiders are going to win. But Joe's about to go on this rant, and I'm going to change this pick. I can already feel it tingling at my fingertips. But go ahead, Tony.
To me, this just comes down to a close game. Raiders are going to blow it in historical fashion to continue what has happened to them all year. Like they don't, I will give this to the Raiders. They have played about 10 of the most interesting football games that I've watched. And maybe not in their entirety, but in the conclusion of what happens in a Raiders football game, it has been sitting on the edge of my seat, fantastic to watch. And last week, what happened to the Patriots, I don't like the Patriots. I never have liked the Patriots. And to see what Chandler Jones did was so funny and so entertaining, and I couldn't believe it. If I'm looking at this game right here, like what on the road, it's going to be freezing cold out there. Who am I going to trust to win this game at the end? I'm going to go ahead and give that nod to Mike Tomlin, figuring out whether it's giving the ball to some running back I don't even know, or, short passes to Pat Freiermuth down the field. I'm just going to trust Mike Tomlin to bring this one home for me.
It's going to be a cold game. And I sent you guys a thing, I think yesterday or the day before, of how many games are going to be. There's like 5 or 6 games that are going to be like close to negative or right around 20 degrees. It's going to be really cold. This is one of them. I think it's going to be like 9 degrees at game time. So I'm kind of iffy about that. But that means you're going to feed who? Josh Jacobs. I almost had the MFer coming out, but I was like, no, just Josh Jacobs, right? You're going to feed Josh Jacobs, let him go. I don't think the Steelers offensive line and Max Crosby, they're going to meet up and they're going to have some fun. Steelers have already given up 35 sacks on the season. What's another 5 more this weekend, right? The only thing I feel bad for is it is the anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, and I was looking forward to seeing all those guys. And rest in peace to Mr. Franco Harris, who passed away, and I was looking forward to seeing that celebration this weekend. Because as you guys know, most people know when you guys watch me, half my family is Raider fans, half my family is Steeler fans. So this is rivalry family week, and this is the one that counts. This is the one that counts. And the Raiders usually do good against Steelers. There's been a couple of times where they go to Pittsburgh and they lose, but this is not one of them. This is not going to be one of them. Derek Carr is going to show up. Josh Jacobs going to show up. And who's starting this week? Kenny Pickett? Even better. Even better.
Joe, is Darren Waller going to play back-to-back weeks?
Darren Waller hasn't played back-to-back weeks since last year. I'm not talking about like playing. Like he hasn't mentally showed up.
I'm saying is he? Hopefully he comes back this way. I just think that is what's leaning me Raiders. So you got one more one-on-one matchup that's a mismatch against the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary. Devontae Adams is already going to be tough for the Steelers secondary to deal with. Now you got Darren Waller inside as well. I think that they're going to get the run going, like you're saying, Joe, and then the play action will be there to Waller, to Adams, to Mac Hollins, who I have in one of my lineups and I'm really desperate in. I can't believe it, but I think the Raiders are going to win. I do. And one more RIP to Franco Harris, multi-time Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer. Sad to see him go, especially the week that they were supposed to do this tribute. This is the Saturday night game, right? This is going to be the game that's in the spotlight.
But the only thing is, Josh McDaniels can't treat the Steelers like he treated the Rams. He can't go in there and go, we can be whatever we want, and then try to run, because the Rams are what? The number 5, even though the Rams are struggling, they're the number 5 defense in stopping the run. Steelers, even though I'm saying it's going to be a cold game, you got to get Josh Jacobs going. The Steelers have the number 7 best rush defense in the league. So you got to spread the ball up, especially when the Steelers have the 28th best pass defense. So you got to spread that ball, and you can't just go, I'm going to give it to Jacobs every time. You gotta mix it around, and I think that's where they screwed up a little bit against the Rams, is where they just kept trying to here.
Yeah, me and Tony.
Cold makes people do dumb things. Derek Carr doesn't need any more reasons.
Yeah, me and Tony talked about it with Staley multiple times, Joe. When you start to see teams that are just really good in the first half, really good when the team hasn't made their halftime adjustments, but then once those halftime adjustments come, they suck and they blow every lead that they have. It's time to look at the coaching. And that's how I felt about the Lions the last couple of years. And the Raiders, I don't know how you can blow that many leads and not be like, we need to do something different. This is crazy.
So interesting stat. The Raiders, everybody knows the Raiders have blown 4 games this year of 13-point leads, right?
Yeah.
If they would have kept those leads and they would have won those 4 games, right now they would be sitting at 10 wins. They would be leading the AFC West, and they would be the number 2 seed in the AFC.
If only.
If only. But that just shows that either coaching fucked them over or they just suck.
Yeah, it's coaching, or you'll see it from teams that are really young, lack of focus. But you guys ain't young. You guys got a lot of veterans in that locker room now. Tampa on the road in Arizona. Arizona's completely falling apart. Let's just speed race through this one because I'm running out of time. But Tony, anything to add?
I need Tom Brady to have a big week. Cardinals, like everybody's done. Everybody. The GM, I don't know what's personally going on. I didn't read the report. Like it's bad.
Did you read the report today?
Yeah, it looks ugly. Well,
Cliff Kingsbury is thinking about walking away at the end of the year.
I thought,
away?
No.
But I was like, is that just that they're going to let him save face and be like, hey, he walked away? Because I would fire his ass today.
No, he's talking. Well, the report I read is he's talking about walking away after this game.
Oh, really?
Walk away before the game. Help us out a little bit. Maybe we'll have a good coaching staff down there.
You can't quit midweek on a game plan. Like that would be so bad. It'd be such a bad look for you.
You never. Yeah, you ain't get
Nick Saban quit halfway.
Who?
Nick Saban. When did he quit on the Dolphins?
Like in the middle of the week?
Or did he finish off the season?
I don't remember.
Maybe Cliff Kingsbury is the next Nick Saban. Maybe he's the next Nick Saban with all this stuff. He just wants to quit and go down that road.
You guys see the other report that? So remember how in Mexico City their offensive line coach got in trouble for like some SA case away from the team when they're out there partying, and he got fired immediately and everything. He's appealing that, claiming that was not him and his identity was mistaken, and that it was actually the Cardinals GM who looks like him, a lot like him, that committed the offense. And then coincidentally, the same week he said that, the Cardinals GM goes away for health reasons or whatever, maybe mental health reasons.
Yeah, personal. Yeah, I didn't want to talk about it, but yeah, I saw it.
Exactly why I said at the beginning of this year, Tony, to fade the Cardinals. Fade the Cardinals. And you guys laughed at me, and I told you, fade the damn Cardinals.
I didn't. That that is some in-depth analysis. If you called what the Cardinals are going through,
I told you Murray was going to get hurt. I told you Hopkins was going to get suspended. I told you the GM was going to go down to Mexico and screw it. I told you all this in the preseason.
that's Joe's got it. He's got it.
D-Hop to the Packers. D-Hop to the Packers confirmed. We got the Denver Broncos on the road in LA in SoFi, and I'm just banking on the Denver defense to shut down the Rams offense. I think my score prediction for this game was 19-3 or something. That's really truly how I feel it's going to be. It's going to be 2 touchdowns for the Broncos, probably one of them defensively, and the Rams just can't score any points. Cody, brief.
Yep, I'm taking the Broncos defense. This feels like Baker Mayfield tries to do too much in this game at some point. I'm starting the Broncos defense in fantasy for that reason. I think multiple turnovers on Christmas Day. Broncos defense scores a touchdown to win the game.
Soften them up a little bit. We got them in
You
the
guys
next
seen the NFL is just hoping that people show up to this game? That They're so worried that nobody's going to show up to this game on Christmas Day that they're telling Rams season ticket holders to please donate your tickets to people that are actually going to show up. Like, don't try to sell them. Please donate them because they're afraid nobody's going to show up. But I don't know about you guys, but it seems like the Denver Broncos defense has gotten better as the season has gone on. Am I the only one that has seen this? Like, they're a really damn good defense. Only 3 teams, or actually only 2 teams in 3 games have they given up over 20 points. And that's then the Raiders have scored it and the Chiefs.
That is
So
shut down.
That's a shutdown defense. And what they say that if the Broncos offense would just score 18 points a game, they would only have like 1 or 2 losses, something like that. So the Denver Broncos defense, and that's why I'm doing it. Like this Rams offensive line, garbage.
Wait, who's this Regan Tully person in here?
I don't know. I think that this just goes to prove that the Broncos fans were right, Joe. They were a quarterback away. They're just still a quarterback away.
Yeah, and there's I mean, imagine you put an average, like if Russell Wilson was playing just
A little
average right now, it would put Geno Smith on the Broncos right now, and they're probably a playoff contender.
But it goes for a lot of. I mean, the Jets defense has only given up like 20 points twice this year, or something like that. There's a couple of these teams where it's
At least
a
in the
very huge indictment on the quarterback and the offensive play calling.
exactly.
I think the
Well,
only
we
reason why
got friends with
Colin
Mike on
isn't getting
TikTok.
fired is because he's a defensive head coach. Like if Nathaniel Hackett was a defensive guy, I think it would look a lot different this year.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
the Broncos.
That's what I was gonna say. At least the Jets can go, yeah, well, that's what we should be. We should be a defensive-minded team because we have Robert Saleh. The
Yeah.
Broncos went and got all the offensive guys and brought them in, and their offense stinks.
And they
Oh,
lost
man.
defense. I remember thinking this year, I was like, the Broncos defense is going to take a step back. That's why I had them not winning as many games. I had them at
Yeah.
9-8. I overshot that prediction.
Well, some of those
I had
depth,
the Broncos at 6-10.
those depth pass rushers ended up being really good for them, paying off for them, because they lost Bradley Chubb and Von Miller in the last 2 years. So the guys behind them were good.
I need you to prove that Regan went 16-0.
No, he didn't put it in the challenge because no one
Regan's not the only one that went 16-0.
1,000.
Randy Pemberton said he's undefeated all season.
All right, Jay Bolted. This is Jay Bolted in a disguise as Randy Pepperton. Saints on the road in Cleveland. The Browns are technically on a hot streak right now. They've won 2 of their last 3 games. Why don't you guys believe in these Browns, huh, Tony?
I forget which show I was watching or listening to, but Dennis Allen hasn't won back-to-back games ever in his coaching career. He's never won, and that's with a couple years with the Raiders, and now this year with the Saints. It's not like he hasn't had chances. Never won back-to-back games. I think he gets it done. I think the Saints get it done, and this is me hoping to salvage my pick that the Saints can still win the NFC South, and I can earn that extra little bragging right when we go through the divisions, because I was the only one who had the Saints winning the division. So that's all I have left to hang my hat on. Also, The Browns, they're not very good.
No.
I need
I'm not
both, of
looking forward to that,
you,
Joe.
both of you guys to lock in this pick. You're not changing it.
No,
I'm
I'm
taking-
not taking this one. I'm not going to the Browns. I
I'm
might.
taking the
James
thing.
Rock.
Deshaun Watson has what, 2 touchdowns in 60 series back, and he's led the Browns in 60 series, and
That's
he's
true.
only had 2 touchdowns. And you could say he's getting hot. He's not getting hot. Like, he looks like shit. He looks like he looks like me playing with you at the park, and your knee is his quarterback, his arm right there. That's how bad he looks. Like it's Deshaun Watson is bad. I don't know who's worse right now, Deshaun Watson or Zach Wilson. Who's worse? I'd rather listen to Booger McFarland call Monday Night Football games than watch Deshaun Watson play.
But why does everybody hate Booger McFarland so much? Is it
He
'cause
says
of the
crazy
name?
stuff. Every once in a while, he says some crazy stuff.
They all say crazy stuff.
That's true. That's why when he told me that, I was like, you know what, Tony, you're right about that, but I still don't like him.
I like it. I got your back, Booger.
We all know when the Saints go marching in.
Y'all go ahead. Y'all go ahead and doubt the Cleveland Browns this week. Doubt Deshaun Watson. Doubt Nick Chubb. Doubt this offensive line. That's
If he
fine.
changed his name to like Big Bruce Jackson or something like that, you guys would be like, Bruce, his name's Booger, and so you don't like him.
We got
Oh,
nothing.
I heard some bad stuff. People were hating on the Browns bad this week. I don't remember what show I was listening to, but somebody was calling Nick Chubb the next Trent Richardson. I was like, what the hell? Like, he had one bad game and you guys are on him.
That's illogical.
Didn't he
He
have,
already.
I think he had 99 yards or 102 yards or something last week. He was fine last week.
Hey, but when you lose fantasy football playoffs, everybody you get mad at
They
everybody.
turn on you.
But
It's like
just don't
99
tweet the
yards.
players. Like I'm mad at Justin Herbert last week. And I was like, Emmanuel Acho, come out and call Justin Herbert out so he can light this Titans defense up.
Yeah, that seemed to add some fuel to Herbert's fire, huh? Well, yeah, you guys go ahead and doubt this Browns offense. I don't have supreme confidence in the Browns offense, but I think if you go and look at what the defense has been doing, they're gonna get out.
Take that L.
Their defense has been good. The Browns defense has been good the last 6 weeks or so, and I think that trend is going to continue, especially with playoff. They still have a chance, an outside chance, 2% chance to get in. On to Cincinnati in New England. The Cincinnati Bengals are just so hot. I was close to taking the Patriots in this game at home in Foxborough. If you asked me a couple weeks ago, I would have thought about it even more. But with the way the Patriots are going, the way the Bengals are going, I can't do it. But Tony, breakdown.
This game isn't even close to me. They don't push the ball down the field, which is what you need to do to try and beat and keep up with the Bengals. They're going to throw a screen pass. They're going to play right into the Bengals' strengths on defense, running in short passes. They're going to keep everything in front of them. The Bengals are going to stomp the shit out of the Patriots in this game. Like this, to me, this is the biggest blowout of the weekend. Like if I had to pick one and they were like, lock it, win by 10 points or whatever, like we had some fun competition, I would pick the Bengals to win by 2 scores in this game. This one does not feel close to me in the slightest way.
Sorry, Mike, that I'm laughing at you because you even thought about taking the New England Patriots in this game. I'm just like,
now.
okay. Did you not see how the Raiders dominated them last week? How the Raiders forced them into making a stupid mistake at the end of the game to win that game? That was all Raiders, just mind games with them all game long. And then I don't know. I'm just bullshitting with you, but I think the New England Patriots get their ass kicked, like Tony said.
I don't think they're
Especially after a loss like last week, that crumbles teams. You know how I told you about Minnesota Vikings, how a big win like that can bring you up? A loss like last week could kick your ass and take you down the rest of the year.
But this is a Bill Belichick-led team. He's not just going to let them lay down. They're going to stick in every game. They stuck in the game last week. I think I just looked at their schedule. They've been blown out once all year, and they've had less talent than everyone that they faced pretty much. I think they're going to stick in this game. I do. I don't think it's going to be as big of a blowout.
But the rumors are flying in New England already. That Robert Kraft is getting tired of Bill Belichick.
Send him our way, please. Please. See you, Staley. Have a great summer. Maybe they can work together. That'd be great. Green Bay Packers on the road in Miami. Tony, you're the only one going with the Dolphins. I thought I would be the only one picking Green Bay. It's kind of why I'm taking them.
I know why Tony's taking the Dolphins, because he likes good quarterback play.
This is a must-win for the Dolphins. I don't exactly know what the setup was, but why am I picking the Dolphins? Because they're the better team, and the Packers are not very good this year. Mike is picking this one for his TikTok narrative because he needs the Packers to win games so that the Lions-Packers game means something in Week 18. And I'm picking this game because the Dolphins, this would be one of the – everybody patted 2 on the back all these weeks. You can't lose 3 games in a row. You can't lose a 4th game in a row at home against a team that isn't really very good. Like, what do the Packers do really well? They don't stop the run. They don't defend the pass very well. You can do both of those things, and you're going to be in your own building. Like, this is just a game you got to win. Like, Tua, don't lose this football game, because I'm actually shocked you guys are both picking the Packers, and this feels like an easy win for me. So I'm extremely happy to see that you guys aren't taking the Dolphins. Dolphins better win this football game.
Joe, you want to switch over, or did that convince you?
No, hell no. That didn't convince me at all. And I don't know what Tony's talking about. The Green Bay defense is, they're not performing up to standards, but the Green Bay defense is good enough to stop some people. And look, I can't trust Tua. I can't trust Tua at all. Yes, he's had a good season, but the last couple of weeks he's looked like crap. Maybe he's playing elite talent, but this Dolphins defense, ever since they got lit up by Detroit, I was like, I'm out on them. I already said the Dolphins don't have enough on defense to make it, and I think the Dolphins, they were playing above their heads a little bit at the beginning of the season, and now they're coming back to reality. I'm not saying Green Bay is good. Green Bay's been playing like shit too, but I think they're starting to click it, and Aaron Rodgers and Watson and Aaron Jones will get it going, and I think Green Bay wins this game, and probably it's not going to be a blowout, but it's going to be probably by a 3-point.
Yeah, and when I look at the Green Bay defense and the Miami defense, I'll take the Green Bay defense basically every time. And the Dolphins just got shut down by the Chargers a couple weeks ago without Derwin James, without Joey Bosa. I mean, that's Jasir Taylor out there covering Tyreek Hill. That's crazy to me. I think that the Green Bay Packers they might not be playing at the level that they played at last year defensively. They have Jair Alexander. They have Eric Stokes. They have these guys on the defense side of the ball, and they can employ the strategies that worked against Miami multiple weeks in a row and shut this offense down, hopefully. Or at least
they're the number 2 pass defense.
Number 2? The Green Bay Packers?
The Green Bay Packers.
Lock it in. Joe, switch to the Dolphins quick. And also, yes, this does help my narrative that the Lions don't make the playoffs. And I don't know why. I'm like the only person in the world that doesn't want the Lions to make the playoffs, I think.
Because you're a hater. You don't like biting kneecaps, Mike.
I'm not a hater, Joe. I've never hated on a team in my life.
Tony's getting a headache listening from the bullshit that we're throwing his way.
Because nobody's talking about how every time there's been a big matchup for this year where Jair Alexander has to go up against somebody, they always let him go one-on-one because he demands it, and he's been getting cooked all season. But everybody's won this year, and they're good receivers. Don't get me wrong. Like, you get beat by Jefferson, you should get beat a little bit by Jefferson. He's a good receiver. They got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. If this guy's going to demand one-on-ones there, Tua, just don't mess it up. Go get your money, Tua. I want you to be the starter of the Dolphins. I think you can play. I think you're right there. I don't know what there is, but you're right there.
Right there.
On to Philly versus Dallas, which is kind of the game of the weekend. Gardner Minshew is going to start in this game. That's already been announced, but I think other than that, the Eagles are pretty healthy heading into this one. There's a lot of weird conspiracies about the Eagles playing the playoff schedule and how the Cowboys winning actually hurts them, all that stuff. I don't think any of that stuff is true. I think that both these teams want this win. This win is important. The Cowboys can't lose to the Eagles a second time this year and expect to stand up to them in the playoffs. Tony, you're with me on them boys. Very rare moment, so I'm going to take it in and hear everything you're going to say right now.
Good, because I tried to talk to you about this yesterday, Mike, and it's not out of confidence. It is out of, come on, Cowboys. Like, to keep everything interesting, you can't lose this game. You can't lose to a team that is in your division without their MVP quarterback. They're going to a guy who's more mustache and moxie than talent. Like, that's not a recipe to having any sort of seriousness come playoff time. So the Cowboys at home, this close to the holidays, run the football. Like literally the recipe for success is there. You have a great defense. Go put on the Dallas Cowboys from 1992 to 1997. How did that team win the football game? They ran behind an offensive line, and Troy Aikman made a couple of throws a game. Like, that's it. Every game the Cowboys play, it should be 40 passes or 40 runs to 30 passes. That should be what it looks like at the end of every game, and the Cowboys are going to be more successful. I'm not picking the Cowboys because I think they're the better team. I think that they need this one more, and they find a way to squeak it out on a last-minute Brett Maher field goal.
Look, I was going to take the Dallas Cowboys in this game until the Jalen Hurts news came out. And I said, Cowboys, what you going to do when Gardner Minshew Mania runs all over you? Philadelphia is going for the number 1 seed this week. They win this week, they're the top seed in the NFC going into the playoffs. Cowboys going to do Cowboy Mark McCarthy things. They're going to overthink it. They're going to screw up. Dak Prescott is showing that he's an average quarterback, and he's going to make those big mistakes when it happens. I know Mike is.
I'm with you on that.
Dallas Cowboys. Huh?
I'm with you on that one. The average.
Yeah.
Slightly above.
And I just think Gardner Minshew is running high. He has emotions from his college coach passing away. He just went to the funeral. I don't know if you guys watched his speech at the funeral. It was pretty good. If you watched Gardner Minshew's speech at Mike Leach's funeral, pretty good. And he's ready to go in the state of Texas. He's going to have fun. I think Gardner Minshew sparks the offense just a little bit more. I don't know why. I just think they're going to play better with Gardner Minshew this game than they would have with Jalen Hurts.
I just want to clear Dak's name of last week's loss. The defense gave up 40 points to the Jaguars.
They gave up 34 points to the Jaguars.
That ball was thrown perfectly past the sticks in the man's hands. All he had to do was catch it. He tips it up in the air to the freaking DB like it's volleyball or something.
It wasn't like he was throwing it. I would have been happier had he not tried to make that play. That's Noah Brown. That's a practice squad receiver he's throwing the football to, Mike. I get it. It was a pass.
Stop that narrative. That bullshit narrative. Cowboys need wide receivers. Stop that crap. You had a wide receiver and you traded him for nothing to the Cleveland Browns.
I'm just saying, if Herbert stands there, throws a 5-yard pass to Josh Palmer, and Josh Palmer tips it up in the air, I don't blame it on Herbert. And it's happened a bunch of times.
Noah Brown and Josh Palmer are not the same. I am not happy about that comparison.
Keenan Allen.
Noah Brown is better than DeAndre Carter.
Anyone that volleyballs a ball up in the air in the NFL, it's their fault that ball gets intercepted.
You know what? I'm not mad in that moment if DeAndre Carter, if that goes. I'm mad at it that it happened, but I get it. There's a reason that certain guys aren't on that level. If CD or Keenan does that, Keenan, you're better than that. You get $20 million a year. CD, you're going to get $28 million a year. You're better than that. You can't do that. Noah Brown, he might not even be on an active roster in like 24 months.
Yeah, an active roster in the XFL.
That's a hard ball to catch, to go down low and dig it. That ball should have just been dirted and moved on. It's a shitty bounce for Dak.
It wasn't even hard.
I just don't love it.
Noah Brown.
I could have made the catch. 100%.
Noah Brown, when the Cowboys cut you next year, sign with the Las Vegas Raiders and play with Derek Carr. He'll get you paid.
That's all I'm saying. If I'm running that route and the game's on the line and we need 5 yards and I'm at 6 yards and I'm wide open like that, all you got to do is throw it low so I don't get sandwiched by 2 guys. I'm going to catch it like this. At very minimum, I'm not volleyballing it up and blaming Dak, saying he's average because of that.
I'm not blaming Dak for doing it, but what I'm saying is I want you to be smarter in that situation. Like, they still had another down to go get it. He's falling backwards, making a crazy throw, and it's a good throw to the guy, and I think most times he catches it. But why not just play for something more high percentage?
It would have been 4th down. I don't want to go to 4th down. I want to just throw
it would have been 3rd. They had another down. It was
a 5-yard pass to a wide open wide receiver is a high percentage throw.
We'll talk about this later because you have to go and I have to go. So let's do this last one. We'll talk about this. And I
have to go too.
Explain the Colts pick, Joe, please.
Jeff Saturday.
Fuck you.
I saw what he could do against the Raiders. Did you not see the win? He had the Minnesota Vikings down by 33 points. And you guys aren't the Minnesota Vikings. The Chargers aren't the Minnesota Vikings. He knows what he's got to do. Even without Jonathan Taylor. You know who's going to run wild? I forget his name. Zach Moss. Zach Moss is going to go crazy. I don't know. I'm up by 5 picks. You think I give a damn if I lose this one? I'm just hoping the Colts win and make me look smart.
Let's count them.
He needs the Chargers to lose so that the Raiders can pretend like they're going to beat the Steelers, and then the Raiders are still in the conversation.
If the Chargers win this week, they clinch playoffs, right?
Well, we need the Raiders and the Patriots still to lose.
See this, Joe? That's one,
another week then.
2, 3, 4. I'm coming back on you this week. I'm just saying, Joe.
So this game with the Chargers is one of those games where this is it, Mike. We need it. It's got to be that statement for Brandon Staley. Everything's trending in the right direction, so he just has to have it. He just has to continue to find some way to keep the team motivated and focused. And last year, I've heard a lot of people saying, well, they had the letdown when they played the Texans last year. They also had like 7 or 8 guys go on COVID midweek while game plan was being installed. And that's not an excuse. Good coaches can find ways to get through that against teams that are about to end up with a top 3 draft pick. He's got to do that. This is year 2. He's had some time. I think this is a game that they can go on the road and finish off 2022 very strong.
All right, I forgot why I picked the Colts, and it's because of one. I thought the Colts were gonna tank the rest of the season, but they said no, we want to win, and they bringing in big dick Nick Foles to win. This man has a statue outside of a stadium, Mike, and you think you can go against him? Nick Foles coming in here winning some games. You don't get a nickname like that because you're a loser.
I don't think if the Chargers lose this game, it's pretty embarrassing. On prime time as well, Justin Herbert has been historically better on the road, better in prime time. Everything is leaning towards the Chargers, like Tony said, making a statement in this one.
And
saying,
the Chargers in the big game going to Lucas Oil Field is always great, right?
Yeah, the Chargers can actually stop. The Chargers can actually win out and go into the playoffs after all those injuries, after all that turmoil, after all those struggles, go into the playoffs with a 5-game win streak. I'm shocked that I'm a fan. Oh, man. Well, that's it. That's the picks this week, guys. Let us know who you guys got for each game in the comments. If you guys want to join the challenge, the link is in my bio on all platforms, NFL Mike, Instagram, NFL Mike, TikTok. Tony, any last little remarks for the people? Merry Christmas, everyone.
Are we back tomorrow morning?
Oh, yeah, we will be back tomorrow morning. Fantasy football wake-up call.
So tomorrow morning, not Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Sunday will be Christmasing.
Anybody who doesn't show up, Merry Christmas. I hope it's all safe and happy and jolly and your teams win. Unless, of course, your team is the Indianapolis Colts, in which case, get the fuck out of here.
Joe. Joe, you don't got any jokes, nothing for the end? Usually you got something.
No.
If he shouts Raiders, cut him off.
Oh, if Tony wants to get a nickel, I could shout Raiders right now. Raiders!
Dak Prescott to the Hall of